What is up, everybody? Here we are. It's Tuesday night. We're ready to rock some more Rubber City Cash for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Trevor. This is Bobby B. Million Miller.
Here I am.
We're going to be hanging out with you for the next 4 hours, rocking some 1-2 cash, some local players getting together. We're showing the cards. We're having a good time. So I hope you guys will too. I think this is like our second or third 1-2 game in a row. So
It's exciting.
it's super exciting.
It's fun to watch.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, this is your everyday average guys. When you go play your local casino, this is the insight into their minds, insight into our minds, just to make everyone a little bit better out there in the poker world.
And sometimes you have no clue what's going on, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's why you guys are here. You guys question us, we question you, and we have ourselves a good time. But with that being said, let's ship it down to the table and introduce our players.
All right.
Look at that beautiful backdrop behind our guys.
In the city.
All right, guys. And seat 2 is Tibor. Tibor, this is his second time on the show, and he is bought in tonight for $260. Plays a pretty solid, tight, aggressive game. Next to him, you know him, you love him, the Mohawk that just won't quit. His name is Mav, and Mav bought in for the max of $500 tonight.
It's murder.
It is murder. Next to him will be Mike, but he's not here right now. He bought it for $300. And then we got Darren. Darren is our unfortunate recipient of a pretty nasty cooler from a couple weeks ago. If you guys remember, he played a $2,600 pot, which in fact he was on the losing end of it.
So unfortunate for him.
I'm sure we'll talk about that throughout the night.
But he does bring candy every time he comes
Every
in.
single time. Next to him is Chris. Chris is our, I like to call him our wild card, loose cannon type. Don't let the mustache and the golf shirt fool you. He's ready to mix it up. And Chris bought it for the max as well for $500. Next to Chris is Matt. This is Matt's third or fourth time on the show. He bought it for $400 tonight, and I think he's going to be sporting a Top Gun fighter jet later on this evening. Next to him, talk about you know him, you love him. That's our dude, Suited Dan Crafton.
The one, the only.
Usually he's sitting next to me, but today he's playing the role of the Lady Queen of England.
Not to be mistaken with unsuited Dan.
Exactly. And Dan bought it for $300 tonight. Next to Dan is Brian. I actually saw, I forgot to say hi, but I saw Brian at Sheets on the way here.
Oh man,
Get
was
a
he
little
getting some mac and cheese?
Get a
bites?
little MTO. I didn't ask, but he's getting some little MTO. But Brian bought it for $300 tonight, and he is raring to go. And behind him, you can see him. It is the one and only Paul Boston, aka Cream Pie, rocking the tablet. He will be taking care of all the chip counts tonight. So all the bets you see made, he's the one is typing them in, making sure the game flow works perfectly. And you guys can keep up to date with how much everyone's betting, calling, pot size.
And let me tell you, that's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, you had to do that last night, didn't you?
I did for quite some time, and let me tell you, my eyes were cross-eyed by the time I came back here.
But we're going to get Jerry settled in. So that's our players. I think we're going to have a pretty good game tonight.
I feel like it is. It looks like a fun crowd.
I have a feeling, I'm hoping, I think Mav and Chris are going to tangle in some pots.
I think Mav's going to tangle with everybody. Doesn't he always seem to like just get in these weird situations and these crazy hands?
I guess when your range is infinite, then
it's easy to get involved.
That tends to happen.
Oh,
but
man.
on that note, let's send it down the table, and it was shovel up and deal.
I love it.
Let's thank our dealer Jerry again for being our
Table's kind of loud there.
Our Tuesday night dealer. He does an amazing job. Oh, that's Mike.
There he is.
Mike.
Mike. Oh, you know Mike.
We'll tell a story about Mike a little later on that note.
Me and Mike go way back.
So back.
There may be a YouTube link I might post in chat of a hand that me and Mike were actually involved with. I could do that.
If you could find that later on, that would be amazing.
I could definitely do that. You guys are in for a treat.
But looks like so after he was talking to Chris outside before we started, and I was talking about, we're keep trying to grow our show and get new players in. He goes, well, if you guys get more players, you guys are going to kick me out. Not if you got things like this where you start limping under the gun with King 3 suited.
Yeah, I mean,
you are the antithesis of a nit. So we don't like nits. We like guys that mess around, get goofy. Limping King 3 suited is about as goofy as it gets.
And we like that. I like people that are goofy. All right.
So there's a limp pot here, or maybe small raise, or maybe even a straddle or something like that. It was $20 pre-flop. Mav flops top pair, but Tibor flops trips. And it went bet call by Mav in the flop.
Look at this, fresh out the gate.
There's like Matt slowed down on a turn, maybe playing a little. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
We are not messing around. First hand
right
of the night.
into it. It's rigged, man. I'm telling you what. This is all rigged.
So I think Mav knows Tibor has either had an ace or a 6 here. So I think at this point it's just
he's just gonna bet for value. I mean, you
stone value.
Why not? Nice fold. The fold.
Apparently they're not playing show 1 quite yet, because if that's the case, Mav would show the 9.
If somebody showed me a 9 in that spot, I mean, you can almost guarantee.
Did they have the Dempsey?
That they had to have the Dempsey. The Dempsey, if you guys don't know, is the ace 9. Could be suited, could be offsuit. Either way, it's called the Dempsey. So,
sadly, it was named the Dempsey because our friend Mike Dempsey actually busted with ace 9 in like. I forget. I mean, it was like ridiculous number of tournaments in a row. Like every tournament,
basically everything.
Every tournament, every cash is like, oh, do I have ace 9 and just bleh. I lost. Ship faced, yes, they are super rigged. Not all cash games, just ours.
Apparently.
Allegedly. Love that word.
Allegedly.
You can just say allegedly after everything, and just you can get away with it.
I went through a while where I said literally all the time.
If Councilman Jam comes in later on, you have to start saying literally like every time because he's referencing Parks and Rec, and Rob Lowe's character says literally like every other sentence.
Nice. Well, be prepared. So here we go. It looks like the action is just continuing. It's going crazy out there with the limps.
We could have some fun here with Darren and Darren Tibor. Let's see if Darren can have himself another huge pot. Darren flops top pair with the third nut draw.
And Chris, if I remember right, he's one of those that likes to be involved also. I mean, he's always in pots, right?
If he's not involved, he's not breathing. So
okay, so let's make sure.
Yeah, if he ever folds a hand,
somebody might want to check. Yeah.
Darren's still holding on here. Chris actually has a flush or a straight draw now to go along with his dead flush draw.
I'm actually pretty shocked.
So am I.
That he folded.
He actually, I think he knew his flush was no good, so calling would just be for the gut shot or a blackjack, I suppose.
And what do we have here?
Darren decides to check.
Just check it out and win the pot. Win the goods. Shift the sugar. Which he did.
I think this would have been a situation where Darren could have made more money. Well, he's not, obviously, Tibor's never calling. A situation where Darren should have been planning to maybe the bet fold there.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of bet folding.
So if Darren just would have let out for, the pot was $70, he would let out for 40, 45 or so, and then Tibor comes way over the top, then you just fold.
Yeah. But you're also giving yourself an opportunity to make an extra bet.
Absolutely.
More money. I mean, that's what you're doing when you're playing poker, right? Is to try to win them chips. Yeah. How can I get them chips on my side?
I mean, Tibor could have very well had Jack 10 there. Jack 10, Black 10 with a Jack of Diamonds, and it was just.
Yeah, exactly. The way he played the hand, I mean, a lot of pairs. I mean, a lot of pairs that might even call that. You'd be surprised at the type of hands that try to get the showdown.
Oh, we're doing limpies with eights. Okay. Doing something different. Mav says you are not limping.
It's early in the cash game, you know. They're trying to get the flow, trying to feel players out, see what everybody's gonna do. But and Chris, like we said, keeping it moving. He will be in every pot.
Yeah, someone make sure that they have EMS on the line in case Christopher folds. Ace 10-8.
I mean, I do know that some people do like to limp pairs, earlier positions and try to see cheap flops, but I don't know. I mean, with so many people ahead of you, I just feel like you might as well just raise it. If you're gonna limp and then call and be out of position with those pairs, like why not just raise it and take control?
I could argue limping occasionally if you're like 9 or 10 handed, but we are 8 handed. It's slightly shorter. I'm a big proponent of raising. Just because, Mav would have called, you can c-bet there, take it down. Instead, you're limp calling, Mav c-betting, Maverick whiffed. He's the one scooping the pot.
And that control is powerful. I mean, you don't always have to have position to be in control in a hand, or take down pots that you probably wouldn't have won if you played it differently.
Exactly.
And yes, Chad, I do agree. Chris is awesome, total action, and he's good for the game. I wish I could play with a million Chris's at the table.
That's a big table.
That is a big table.
Might be me. So we got another limp here with a smallish pair.
And if you notice a trend, I mean, the limps, like, look at the type of hands that are coming along that probably wouldn't. I mean, 2-5 suited, do you think he's really going to call a raise with that hand?
No.
I highly doubt it. And now here he is. He's in the pot. And now that two people have called, he's going to call too. So now he's in the pot. It's a bloated pot. He has 2-5 suited. And it's a scary thing because you're never going to really think that he has that type of hand if it comes up a crazy flop for him.
It's actually a fairly safe flop for Tibor. So if Darren decides to c-bet, I would like to see him peel at least one, if not more.
I mean, situations like this, it's hard for me to find a fold with a pair. But he just this is no thank you.
So
I'm just going to let this one go.
So we're saying, that maybe the sixes weren't played perfectly, but kudos to Darren there. He picked up on some possible weakness from Mav and from Tibor, and he raised it up, c-bet, and took it down.
C-bets, you gotta love them. I mean, they're powerful.
It's so funny. Like, I feel like obviously the idea of continuation betting has been around for so long, yet you still can exploit your opponents so easily by using it.
It's like the most simplest, powerful tool in poker.
Yeah, like Antonio Esfandari talks about it all the time. He goes, it's hard to make a pair and hold them. It's just tough. It's tough to flop something you're really in love with. Okay. So that's what we're talking about, having the control in the hand and being able to basically maneuver the pot how you want to. Continuation betting is just suited Dan right on call.
Boom, with the suited hand.
Exactly.
So I guarantee he's not going to fold if he hits any piece, any chance of hitting that nut flush. He's going to stick
If he flops one diamond, I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah. As he shouldn't, though. I mean, why not? As the old Jay Carver would say, why not?
So our pre-flop raiser, Chris, flops bottom pair. Dan does indeed flop top pair.
And Darren is just floating around in between them.
Dan quickly calls.
What do you think about raising here if you were Dan?
I don't think I'm going to win this hand, so it's not like
Oh, Darren's mad he folded.
Ouch.
I think actually I call once. He checks here, but I was going to say Chris is the type that just doesn't back down. And I think you can get more value by check calling than you can by check raising ever.
I guess you're right, because if you raise, then you're folding out a lot of hands.
All the worst.
Yeah.
Are you getting ready to flip those over?
No, I'm getting
I like to see Dan just get a big stack and just see what happens with it.
I would like that also.
I mean, not just because I like Dan, but he's a type. He is like the epitome of chirp and chips. Like he will start yapping at quite the pace if he gets some money in front of him.
I was kind of the opposite, I would yap. Well, I guess I would just yap all the time. I don't think it really mattered.
It never really stopped for you. You walked in the door, and as soon as you gave the doorman your ID, you were just like, "Here we go, B-Mill's in the house."
I can't help it, man. It's just I just like to be friendly at the tables. I want to get everybody talking, and it works for me.
I always think that. I mean, I think I heard you talking about that the other day.
Where you befriend people at the table.
Befriend people at the table, and if they think like you're buddies and you guys might get like drinks later on, or you're gonna become Facebook friends, and you run a big sick bluff on them, they're more likely to fold you because you're like, oh, we're buddies now. I can't take his money. You might be going out for a steak dinner.
I can't tell you how many times like I'd 3-bet pre-flop somebody that raised that had been talking or something throughout the game. They just folded, and I would just keep doing it, and they just folded.
Sometimes because they just want to keep the
Would show-
conversation going.
Yeah, they would show me like tens and be like, "Here you go, fold." Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I will be raising you all day.
Yeah. And sometimes you can get tells off of people because of when you talk to them, because they might reveal something in their life or their lifestyle that says maybe this guy's like, oh, you know, you're talking about his yacht in like the
Yeah.
Mediterranean. And you're like, oh, this guy's got pockets for days. Like he's never.
Let's exploit that and just
So you know
drill them.
exactly. If someone's just like, oh, I just cashed in like 100 soda cans to make my buy-in, then you're like, oh, he's probably playing pretty tight. So I mean, it's talking to your
somebody's-
fellow players is never a bad thing.
I hope I never took somebody's soda can money.
You know you did.
I probably did.
Ooh, Matt runs a nice little bluff here.
Yeah, I like this.
It shows Dan the check mark, but
Not the chip mark.
Maverick, no, not that chip mark, or the chipmunk.
Completely agree, Shipface.
Exactly. Yeah, we couldn't agree more.
Spot on. It's an awesome thing, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, it kind of makes me a little tilted sometimes when I'm at the casino or I'm at a table playing, and somebody's like berating the table or like talking down to somebody that's not that good at poker, or
Don't tap the tank.
Yeah, you just leave it alone, man. Just smile and nod. Like, if you play consistent that you're gonna outweigh all that. Like, it's just one of those things that people need to get used to.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, poker's a social game. Have fun. I mean, you're sitting there just. I mean, I understand putting the headphones on and like listening to your Jay-Z or whatever, but
Sometimes it's better to just live in the moment.
live in the moment. I mean, you'll make more solid reads and you'll understand your players better if you're open to the environment and you're able to soak in all the information.
3 players. I'm sixes, man.
Dude, every hand.
Sixes every hand. Shout out to Shondell. I don't know if you're out there listening, but hey,
Seriously,
that's his name. Crazy Sixes.
I say when you flop a set of sixes, I call it Dr. J for the Sixers from the foul
Okay.
line.
15's a bet.
So it looks like it went check flop, and Darren's like, well, if you guys aren't going to bet, I'm going to. Because I've had sixes twice in the last 3 hands.
And I completely agree with it. Like, why not? I mean, typically, especially at like this stake, if everybody's showing weakness, they're probably weak. If everybody's checking, they probably can win if
At
you
these
bet.
stakes, definitely.
I mean, why not? I can't tell you how many pots I've won just because I bet, and I was last act.
Yeah, I mean, we used to play at the same table at the casino, I mean, once a week or so. And obviously, I know your game really, really well. And there were still times where I was like, oh, he definitely has it here. And we'll go out, we'll take a break, whatever, go for a walk, get some food. And I'll question you on it. And you're like, no, dude, I had like, who is dying?
Excuse you.
Is there a T-Rex out there just sneezing the knife away?
I don't know.
But anywho, I would go ask him like, oh, because you were playing your bluffs and your strong hands exactly the same. I don't know where this is coming from. What was my thought process on this?
Because I was talking about position and how you can just take down a pot if everybody's showing weakness.
Weakness, and it's kind of goes back to being a table captain and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know the difference because he would know like X, Y, and Z seat are all acting super weak, and he would just pick up on that and win
I
the
would
pot.
just hit him with the lasers like Toby, like pew pew pew, all over.
Maybe.
So here we go. 5 ways. 5 ways. And this is another example. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to me sometimes how like you have hands like 3-9 are in there and 4-7. Like, let's get a raise pre-flop. Did Tipper? How did this pot go pre-flop? I didn't see. Was that 5 ways and it was raise pre?
I think either it might have been
$50 in the pot.
Yeah, they might have been like $8 raise.
That's interesting if there was, because I didn't notice. I wasn't paying attention to that hand.
No, he takes 20.
I owe you.
I should have pressed.
Nah, proper, sir.
You make me $2. When you throw out this $10
For now.
challenge, I'll take it.
He'll take it up on it.
Okay. So maybe later we'll get Toby in here.
I think Toby's taking a nap.
Noller, thanks for the sub, man. Much love.
What's up, Noller? Appreciate it, man.
12.
Yeah, just because I need blue chips.
Just because he needs blue chips,
No,
he calls that $12 raise.
That is how you do it. That is a sign of a true champion.
Just because he needed blue chips.
We flopped himself a backdoor straight draw. His 10 is
man.
no bueno. I was gonna say if he leads here, I think it's gonna work.
I mean, honestly, like he's so smooth though. Like pre-flop, like how he talks and he seems real comfortable. You would never think like he's doing it with hands like he is like this. Like he was actually telling the truth. Like I really just needed blue chips.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna call it this hand. And there he is. He gets blue chips plus some reds.
So it sounds like Shipfaced might come play on our table. Shipfaced, where are you from again? I don't remember.
I think he said was it New Jersey?
Is that what it
Jersey
is?
City. Yeah,
That would
so
be
that's
amazing.
cool. You gotta love that. I mean, didn't somebody else do that? That met on Twitch? Wasn't there like 2 players?
Well,
or something?
yeah, we had a guy that lives in Chicago, and he's from Akron, but he moved to Chicago for work. And he was just like scrolling through Twitch one day, and he goes, "Oh, this is pretty cool. I'll check it out for a minute." Then you know how the chat's usually like, "Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at?" It said
Yeah.
Akron. He goes, "Wait, Akron?
And
I'm
there
from
you go.
Akron."
Nice.
And he got a hold of us, and he played one night. I think he lost a smidge, but he had a great time, and it was super awesome.
That's really cool. So here we go. 5-way pot again, limped
So
around.
it looks like we're having a limpy night. The aggressive level is not up to what it usually is. Aggression level is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised. Like, if it gets all the way around, and Mike, knowing his poker background, like he says that he plays for a living, I believe. Maybe I'm not too sure, but you would think like on the button with his hand. I mean, why not raise? I don't know. Somebody should have raised. I think what was there, King 10 in there?
2 king 10s, and then you see this garbage is still sitting there.
Looking ahead. It was an excellent week. Running hot. Ride the rush.
Oh, that's right.
So Chris.
So not only did Darren. Oh, here.
Oh boy. So Darren and Chris now hit, and we have Maverick with 2 pair, but Maverick makes some pretty good laydowns. Here I don't think he's going to be able to fold
He's
just
planning on
yet.
raising.
This is interesting.
Well, apparently everybody else in the world were folding. 40.
And see, this is the type of situations you get yourself caught in. I mean, you limp with 5-9 offsuit. There's really no reason to. There's no reason.
So, agreed. But here's a question: is there ever a reason to flat if you're Darren?
40's a bet.
What to flat Rick's raise?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think you're the only one with an 8, I mean, what? I guess. What,
I guess
there was
10,
only
I
one
guess,
hand.
I guess,
10-8
I guess
beats you.
10
So
8, I guess 10 8 shows up, but
I mean, if you have player. Oh wow. Okay.
now we'll see how this goes.
This
now,
is an
now,
interesting.
Now, if
hand,
anyone
dude.
was looking for monsters under the bed with someone having 10 8. Oh, I thought we were gonna have some fun happen here.
I had the 8 all on.
I mean, all right, this is one of those situations that I think I would just blast it on the river, especially if I'm Rick. Just for the reason when it goes check in front of me. I mean,
Not only go check, but it was deflated check.
deflated like, oh man, this sucks that the board just has a straight on.
If we could rewind that and watch their body language again, both the players they went from like I have a straight to we all
Just
have a
shriveled
straight.
up.
We all have a straight. Then Nate the
They're like, please take this money.
Mario mushroom. They got big again. No, but if Rick is watching like super intently and he sees both of them just kind of go, oh crap.
I
Take
think I'd have bet
advantage of
101, dealer.
Wait, absolutely 101 for the
I would have
kids
bet 101
from the basement.
That's what
right
Yeah, that-
here from the basement.
Yeah, I mean, if you think like there's a high probability of you're just chopping anyhow, see if you can steal the whole thing.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I was just vaguely.
Then Jerry doesn't have to chop it up 3 ways. That seems annoying.
But hey, either way, that just shows you why limping pre-flop with those hands. I mean, the outcome,
Is always a chop.
yeah, okay, it's always a chop. No, it just doesn't make sense to me sometimes because all those hands, it would have been played so much differently if just one person would have raised or. I just don't get the whole limp thing. I mean,
Yeah, if Matt would have raised, we would have had 5 minutes of our life back.
exactly.
Because I'm guessing everyone would have folded.
It's not even that. It's just that I know that as you go up in stakes, you'll notice that less and less of those type of hands occur, and there's a reason for it because people want to win money. They want to take the chips off the table and put them in their stack. So
That is a sick way to put it.
But I mean, this is like we said, it's kind of your usual 1-2 table. Your local casino you go to and play 1-2. This is how it is. This is how it's gonna be played. So
Let's mark this moment down right now, guys. So we went bet, early position by Brian, call by Mav, who's been calling pretty wide. Chris also been calling super wide. Now Chris leads with just a 5 here. So let's see if that's something he tends to do, leading when he flops weakish, but he thinks maybe his opponents have big cards. But just put that in the back of our minds and see if that comes up again later on. So now it goes 15 to 45 by Brian, which I may have made it a tad bigger, but I think it's okay. Now Mav's sitting here with a pretty good flush draw.
and if you're sitting in Brian's seat and then Mav just calls, like what do you think he has? I mean, especially like in now Chris's spot. Okay, so Mav calls. All right, I was hoping Chris folded, but you never. I really have no clue what's gonna happen.
You can't
I
just
can't count him
bank on
out.
No,
So now I mean you're in Brian's spot. Like, what do you do now? Like, what are you thinking?
I think I bet once more, and if Mav raises, I'm probably folding reluctantly.
I almost feel like I'm just betting for value all the way.
But
on this.
I'm never checking. Just because there's so many flush draws, there's so many combo draws. This 10 does not scare you.
Yeah, there's so many things that want to get there on the river rather than have it already.
I think a 7. I think a 7 actually raises.
I think a 7 raises too.
I think if it goes bet raise and you have a 7 and the pot's already getting bloated like out of control.
Well,
why
here
not
now,
raise again?
if I'm Maverick, I mean you could almost play this like you have a 7 and scare the crap out of.
That's what I was thinking.
Out of
All right,
Brian's hand
so
range.
on the flop, Chris leads with his 5. Brian raises with his jacks.
And he just calls.
Mav's sitting in position. What if Mav puts in the third bet?
It's just one of those things. Do you think he would raise a 7? Do you think he would re-raise a 7 on the flop? That's just a question that you have to ask yourself, I guess. I don't know what I would do with a 7 there, honestly. I might just call and then raise here on the turn.
You gotta get your nicotine there too.
But I mean, with him raising on the flop, why not raise with the 7 on the flop? Why not get the money in? He's showing you he has strength, That's kind of interesting.
Good win for Brian there. They opened it up for some really fun possibilities.
I think it was 9 when you just tell
Yeah, it makes me wish I was on the table because
Also, if
who knows?
okay, so this next hand is going to be brought to you by our upcoming special on our channel, Chase the Bracelet. It'll be airing every Thursday night, coming July 30th, I do believe. I mean that it's the exact date. So what we're going to be doing is having a 12-week series, sit and go, where players accumulate points, and the winner of whoever accumulates the most points will be getting a seat to a $1,500 event in Las Vegas of their choice. And after that, we'll have a 13th week where the remaining 9 players will be playing for they'll each get one $500 seat to the horseshoe for the top 2 finishers of that sit and go. So starting July 30th, you'll be seeing this guy next to me, B Million, out on the table, grinding it week after week, trying to win that seat to Las Vegas.
I'm all about them points.
That's
I will
right.
be.
I can't wait to see once it hits week 7, week 8 or so, when the points really start to take shape. All the ICM that starts happening, like
Folding hands just to make it into the point.
just to like scoop up one more place, you know, that kind of stuff.
Bring it, Ryan.
What's up, posse? I see you're back from Pittsburgh. Hopefully your trip was safe and sound.
So here we have the whole table decided to join in to see the flop on this hand, which I would expect nothing less.
Exactly. What's up, Pocky? I haven't seen you around in a while, man. Thanks for hanging out.
He's all about that bracelet, no treble. Oh.
It's like Mike wins the seat cushion. He actually doesn't need the cushion right now because we are our players' new chairs this week.
I wish I had one of those chairs right here.
Dude, they are
right
so
now.
comfortable. Actually, we could probably make that happen. 'Cause there's two of them. Not, there's two
you're
of them.
right.
Not, there's two of them not being used right now.
I mean, hello, back support.
Got all the tricks out here. I just don't want to see
And then you
it.
see golf ball Paul back there taking all the pictures for the show. He's a good guy. Okay, we did get a little rough on him yesterday. If anybody watched the
You know
show,
what? I'm gonna do an announcement right now. I'd like to apologize to Paul Moskowitz for some of my harsh comments last night. They came from a spot of love. I just want him to do well. And when I see him doing things that maybe I don't agree with, I was probably overreacting a tad. And
it's hard because we've known him for so long, and
So
you just
long.
want to. It's almost like sometimes you just want to like put it in their mind, you
It's
know,
like-
and it
it's like
comes
when-
off as tough love.
it's like when you spank your kid, you know?
Exactly.
I don't have one, nor have
But I
I
could
spanked
imagine
anybody
that
else's.
that's how it feels.
You don't want to do it, but you got to teach them a lesson sometimes. But I do love you, Paul, and I hope you still love me too.
3 players.
So we have
Randy first.
Mav just getting in there.
I think Mav and Chris has had a powwow. It says they were like doing some sort of prop, like who could play the most hands.
25 to bet.
That is correct, Baki. That was suited Dan. Usually he's sitting next to me, but we kicked him out tonight to let him play.
And brought B Million out the chat.
B million.
So look at that.
And then fall asleep.
See, I don't mind Rick playing hands like that as long as he's gonna be aggressive and take the pot down when the opportunity arises.
Do you think he calculates his hourly rate into how much tattoos he can buy?
I think so. I'm almost 100%.
Like it's not even
It is.
dollar amounts. It's just left sleeve,
Ink.
right
It's-
sleeve.
he-
Yeah,
He calculates in ink.
in like milliliters of ink. It goes into his body.
Did he always have a mohawk, or is that something new?
He had a baby one. Then like I think his hair just grows so fast that it's now it's kind of like broom like.
I like it.
Dude, it's tough.
It is tough. I'm scared.
I remember-
Don't look at the camera, please.
Guys, it's like Medusa. If you look into his eyes, you will turn to stone.
Oh man,
Or at least parts
he
of
just
you.
thought about something that he did last night that he covered up.
Not so sure about.
Oh man. Oh god.
It's even scary that he's got blue eyes. It's like part angel, part devil.
So this is interesting. A raise to $21. Just
I think the strudel was on.
I would hope. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
There it is. It was a $5 straddle. So if you guys are wondering why all of a sudden it went from a limp fest to $21, that is why.
But that look at him. I mean, good look at Mike though with the salmon shirt on, rocking the King 10 offsuit under the gun for $21.
That's Mike. I thought his name was White Drake. Isn't that what it?
I totally forgot.
I did not, because I worked on an emote for him.
That is definitely White Drake. He will be dropping bars at some point later on.
The old White Drake.
He
We're good?
started in the parking lot. Now he's here.
Oh man. Flash. I am not sure. I believe that all our videos are also uploaded to YouTube, but if you click on our channel page, you can go to the highlights and click past broadcasts, and you can check out if you can remember what week it is, because I'm not. I think it was like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
I
But
do because
you can look at 'em all.
Came back and mooned me after the fact, and I remember that date.
we haven't started doing any like highlights, which that is something to think about actually in the future. That maybe some big hands we can make like a YouTube highlight reel for the month or something like that. Oh, there it is. Right there. Look at that.
I guess we do have highlights.
Nice.
Also, if you guys want to stay abreast of what we got going on, if you follow our Facebook page, just go to Facebook, search Poker on Air, and like us on there. Our straight flush versus ace high flush. At last check had 3,100 views, I believe. I should have known. So we actually got a little hand here. I'll finish my plug for our Facebook page here. So we got Chris with 2 pair.
Which is dangerous.
To be expected.
Which is dangerous when Chris has 2 pair. I mean, it's scary.
Now Darren's got top pair and an inside straight draw, but it went 19 to 35 here. I don't think that's legal.
Yeah, I don't think.
Doesn't seem legal.
Doesn't seem like that would work. But he said 19 more, so.
So it wasn't legal. It got typed in as 35, but really it was 38.
Okay.
Now,
Makes sense.
now Chris just makes the makes a full house.
Oh, look at that face! Like, ugh. I mean, I feel like he could actually get called here, like kind of like a, well, I got 2 pair, I'm gonna call you, and
I mean,
what's your kicker? That's like what everybody always thinks for whatever
Diamonds
reason. Like,
missed.
Alright, I'll call you.
there it is. I'll call you, and boom, bad news.
Pretty big hand.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny when people flip their hands over and they say full house. It's like
And you earned it.
we see.
I have nothing
like
but
the guy's like, all right, I call. Like obviously he doesn't have you beat. Like, oh, I guess I'll call. Like he doesn't have jacks full.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a full house. Like
At least he didn't go. I have
a six is
I have
fine.
6s over 5s.
Yeah, exactly. If he
That would really put me.
labeled the exact full house.
So here you are, Chris just off on the lead. What did? Can I see the?
Yeah, Chris Bunch for 500, so he's
Oh,
at
okay.
$15 to start out.
Nice.
I think Mav's down a smidge, Dan's up a hair, Brian's up a little bit,
Play a tournament a day.
Matt's even,
Not really.
Mike's even,
Watches me or just play a little.
Darren's down a smidge, I would say.
She doesn't like to gamble.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she goes to the pool and then she'll go shopping. Walk around.
Darren. Okay. I'll just say that's gonna be a very interesting. If he just limps Jack 9 and it just
I
keeps
think
the limp fest going.
Yeah, I think he's licking his wounds right now, and he's like, I'm gonna take a hand off. I don't want
Makes
to lose
sense.
anymore.
Here we go. I mean, he has ace queen. Obviously, he's gonna raise the 12, but finally get to see something happen. And guess who calls?
Usually about once a year. Usually just for like a 4-day deal.
Yeah, that's what you would
You're talking about going to Vegas.
World Series at the Gummer.
It's the best place on earth.
Good? Alright, 3 players.
And Chris is like, I just don't. Like, it's probably coming 3-4 ace.
Yeah.
You got
Well,
piece.
see, if I'm in Maverick spot, I know it sounds maybe too nitty, but a lot of times I just fold. When I have a like crazy loose player after me, and then somebody raises, I know he's pretty much gonna call. So do I want to play a 3-handed pot with ace 8 and just?
Well, especially
I mean-
it's Matt is early position. It's his first hand he's played. You're gonna be out of position the entire hand, no matter what, and you still have Chris behind you.
Yeah, just it gets you in more tricky spots that are necessary, at least at this level. It's just it's better, I'd say, to just avoid the situation altogether until you can actually have control.
I feel like Chris was listening to you just now. He goes, "It's just better to avoid the situation altogether." I think he was thinking like, "This is Matt's first hand he's really played.
Yeah,
All I have is bottom pair.
I'm zoning them in.
I don't need to get crazy."
Pounding on the door.
On your door?
Stop
Oh, I
pounding
said
on
that.
the door.
Rock
For like
rock
2
roll, right?
hours.
Stone
Dealt,
gig.
dealt
For 2
last week for me.
Oh, I got better out.
Hey,
Alright.
I'll tell you.
Finally, I got up and let her out.
Your
Alright.
son Eric let her out. That's a house. I think about that.
Live straddle.
Most,
She's pounding on the door for 2 hours. Finally, I got up and let her out.
Let her out.
I got that off, what's his name?
Pocky, we're not sure if we're gonna be running 2 days a week or not. It's still kind of up in the air of discussion. But Chaser Bracelet, I kind of breezed over a little bit. But what it is, it's gonna be 10 players, and they're gonna play for 12 weeks. And what it basically is gonna be a free roll for them And whoever accumulates the most points throughout those 12 weeks, we're going to be sending to Las Vegas to play in a $1,500 event of their choice. And
And it's gonna be awesome.
it's gonna be awesome. We had casting calls. We tried to find the best players for the table. Here goes Dan. Ooh, this is bad for Dan. This is bad for Dan. Dan flops top 2. Matt flops bottom set. And checks to him.
And unfortunately, sometimes like in
Sorry, Pocky, I'll get back to my point about Jason Bracelet.
in Dan's eyes, I feel like this is like the nuts, you know, and it's unfortunate because we probably, I mean, I would imagine we're just gonna see, depending on the turn, see all the money just get in.
And yeah, Chris, he's like all open-ended, so Matt is just licking his chops right now.
See, and this is the scary part about Chris, though. It's like he's in there,
But-
he
but I-
almost may save Dan some money too, because now Matt's gonna raise, and you're good. Yeah, so now Matt's gonna raise, and I mean, I don't know if Dan can find a fold, but Chris is gonna get out of the pot for sure. I mean, or he'll just call.
5.
No.
Okay.
He raised.
I was gonna say that's
How much did we say? 65.
that is not
That is not
that
very
is
big.
not enough, in my opinion. I mean, because regardless, I mean, all right, you're already betting out. You have two players in front of you, basically call. Or you have two people in front of you. One make a bet, one call. There's a lot of draws that can get there on the turn. Like, do you really want to give them the opportunity to get there?
No, I mean, obviously this is the biggest brick ever for Matt, but the pot was already pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, look at the pot right now. It's 250. Dan has about pot left.
Like 65 is not scaring you anyway. Any spades, any fours, any 4 combos.
I mean, if this is me, I'm probably gonna bet like 130. And holy moly, I'm right on there. Holy moly.
I mean, I think Dan has shown some strength here, but this is a never fold.
And like I said, Dan was pretty much in his mind. You know, he flops top 2. That's the nuts. Which, I mean, it is. Top 2 is it's a hard hand to get away from, or to think that somebody has flopped a set. But he's absolutely calling. And
Dan's looking
It's
for a 5
unfortunate.
or a 6.
oh, and then he gets counterfeited also for the boat.
I had the 4.
I think so. One of my tells on Dan is he gets kind of still. He gets like really still when he has like a big hand. And that time he was still, but if you watch his eyes, you could kind of tell that there was some concern, like that he could be beat.
Well-
His eyes were kind of shifting around, kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Like, there's a lot of action happening behind me.
What happens too is, I mean, you have a hand like 2 pair, and you know that basically like a flop straight or a set beats you. Right when somebody calls you like that quickly, it kind of like you get deflated like earlier. I mean, you're just like, oh crap. Like
Yeah.
what? Obviously nobody. He didn't even think about it. He knew he was gonna get the money, and so you're like, shit. I'm beat.
Basically, yeah.
I'm done.
Tetherball.
Good try. GG. But yeah, the hand does sort of play itself. But
I mean,
Slow roll.
we always talk about, we don't like nits, but I think there's a difference between playing 5-6 unsuited early position versus not raising ace-9 on the button. It's just a little bit different,
yeah. And was that a limp pot pre-flop?
I do believe.
And there it is again. I mean, just another example of why. And even like
what did we used to talk about limp pots? They get all in. Like, unless you know you have like the stone colds, like it's just so scary.
because I mean you're playing against such a wide range of hands that it's hard to you make the game harder for yourself by limping in rather than like raising. Or I mean, I don't mind as much if you play like hands like 5-6 suited or something like that, but I'd prefer a raise if you're going to play it. I don't know. Obviously, like,
I mean,
on your position dependent. and-
Yeah. How do you raise? And that's how it came out. Then that's just a cooler. But limping is just.
But I think the best option is just fold. Just fold pre-flop.
Yeah.
I think
Just because it's really hard to win a lot of money with 5-6.
yeah.
Like-
I mean, you have to. Like you see right there, even then. I mean, you flop top 2, and look what happens. You get stacked. When how much money would you save just by folding? Which I think is correct at 1-2 to do. I mean, there's something that Bart had talked about in one of his long time ago podcasts about playing hands, and he still touches on it. Even when I think when he was commentating last time here, he was talking about the hand ranges that are played pre-flop at 1-2 games that they just shouldn't be played. You know, you should just be playing premiums almost. You know, it's not really hard to beat 1-2, but it is if you make it harder on yourself by doing stuff like that. I have no clue what I'm talking about anymore.
Dude, that happens. Sometimes you start a thought and you start talking and you get like 2/3 way through it and you're like, you have no clue what's happening anymore.
I mean, I could just talk poker forever, so I'll just like go on one thing to the next, and then before I know it, I'm on a total different path than I started.
That's actually one of the things I've been like talking to myself in the mirror about. Is
You talking yourself in the mirror?
doesn't everybody?
Oh.
Is maintaining that train of thought, because it's not easy. It's something you have to practice.
It's not. Well, you know me. I talk so much. I could literally talk the whole 4 hours. Like, I don't need you here. I could just straight up talk to myself.
Thanks, pal.
I'm just saying. I mean, of course I need you here, but I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
I just cannot stop talking. No kidding, right?
Don't say that.
Brutal.
Where's the button? On me.
Go small blind.
Unless your name's Caitlin.
Dude, that's awesome. Shipface coming to play. I can't wait to meet him.
I know, right?
I hope it's like a really hot chick.
Okay, so I got a real question.
Like,
Don't we all?
how unsuspecting would that be?
Yes.
Like, you just hear like stilettos coming up the ramp in the back.
Still call the person that won this?
Hi, I'm Shipface. Excuse me?
Hi, I'm Shipfaced. Where can I put my dog in this bag?
Exactly. Yeah, it's Paris Hilton.
Okay.
That'd be amazing.
The Olympic champion.
So, all right, like yet again, like just another thing. I mean,
Dollars and five.
the limp pots. It's gonna be the death of stacks. It's just how it happens.
Check. $8.
I mean, I get that you're under the gun, so like Dan with ace 9 here, he has one of the best hands, obviously, but he doesn't know that. But if you're under the gun with ace 9, I don't think I would really ever limp in. Fortunately for him, I mean, he hits, but that's being kind of results. Like, I just don't. I'm not a fan of limping with like ace rag or like weaker aces, especially out of position.
I think depending on the table type, I think ace jack under the gun sometimes isn't even a raise.
Oh,
It's
dude,
just-
I folded ace queen under the gun before when my friend was sweating me at the casino.
Well, that's because why tell everyone why though. You get them spidey senses.
Okay, one, I have spidey senses. Two, it's just table dependent. I mean, if everybody's getting in there, getting nasty, or you're playing a table full of just complete nits, that's a good sign to kind of like tone down your raising range when you're in early position. Like, why not? It's not a bad thing. You lose 0 money by folding under the gun.
That is absolutely
$0.
That's a stone truth.
Exactly, flash cord. Ace jack under the gun, no thanks.
Napkins.
They're napkins.
Just straight up
That's-
napkins. Just get lost.
Yeah, 6 max, I can agree. If it was 6 max, that's a total different story. But I mean, if you're full ring, it's hard to play those type of hands.
I think 8-handed is probably a raise. Seven definitely, and obviously on down.
Yeah.
I think 8's pretty questionable.
It's just because what hands are calling you. Like, say you're in dance position, you're under the gun, you have ace 9, and you raise it, and then the hijack calls, and then the button calls because the hijack calls, and then you're just in this pot, and you never know where you're at. It's a hard hand to play, and I feel like more often than not, you're gonna lose money rather than win it.
Unless you're just a beast post flop. I mean, if you're really good post flop, then obviously you can make your pre-flop range whatever you want it to be because you have that understanding of what your opponent's ranges are going to be and you can adjust accordingly. But I think for the average player, I think mucking ace jack under a gun in a full ring is no big deal.
Well, especially at 1-2. I mean,
12 now.
players aren't going to be beast post flop much at 1-2. I mean, it's just how it is. So you have to make your money elsewhere and that is making smarter decisions pre-flop. I think like most of the money and most of the strategy is pre-flop in 1-2.
Right on.
Pre-flop decisions.
Spring thing that you did. That looked good, yeah.
The Maverick.
Dude, I remember the first time I met him, and I was so scared to talk to him.
He's thinking about, did I lock the trunk with that?
I wonder how well that duct tape's holding.
Yeah, it's on cool day.
Yeah.
Dexter is based off of Maverick's life.
It is. He's a firefighter by day, taking out all the wrongdoers by night.
Yep. That dark passenger, man.
12, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ryan, I do agree. The limping is semi-boring.
It is, but
I wouldn't-
on the same time, though, it's
I
giving
wouldn't
us,
necessarily
giving us
say-
a lot to talk about.
I wouldn't say boring. I would just say it's not as exciting of a game as it could be if people raised.
We think about Mike flatting here with Mavs undergun +1 open.
Mike flatted
Mav,
Mavericks raise.
Mav opened to 12, Mike flats, and you got the Chris and Matt behind, both also.
I don't
complete.
mind it that much, but I would probably raise myself just because there's obviously the trend seems to be call. So it's like, do I want to be squished in the middle of all these players by just calling his raise? And also, if he's watched the show at all, he would realize that Maverick does have a pretty wide range. He's not like the tightest player ever.
Or watch tonight.
Or watch tonight at all. So I mean, I like a raise. I mean, see here he got in a spot where he could have potentially won the hand. Now he folded, and now it's.
I think he would have won. I think he would have won a pre, but
I think he would have won a pre also, but.
But again, I mean, we don't know.
You don't know how
Mike's
he
post-flop.
interprets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Mav
Mike,
either.
Mike might just be literally if someone's raising early position, he has to put him on a pretty narrow range. So maybe he's like, I don't want to bloat the pot with ace queen when I could very well be dominated. So we'll see. We'll see if that changes later on once he gets maybe a better feel for the table.
I wonder if he's the type of player also that.
Mav gets there
Oh man, Maverick just he's
against
gets it.
an amazing opponent. Now he has to figure out what's the exact amount that Chris is going to call. He has an opponent that does not like to fold, so I actually would put it on a slightly on the higher side.
thinking about like.
125.
That's not a bad bet, really, actually.
What is it, 125?
Yeah. I think it might be maybe a little too big, though. I mean, because, like, we know and we think of it as, like, in comparison to the actual size of the pot. But I think that a lot of players don't look at it as how their opponents can interpret that. And that's a big bet, you know, that's $125. And we know that it's just chips. We know that it should be separated, but he gets paid off, so I mean it works.
So you're kind of touching on the psychological part of it. Obviously we know the poker part. Looks like
I could put you on the queen.
Good luck, Dan.
Shitface said something about like 140. I was thinking like 145, 150, just because of that he is my opponent. But to touch on what Bob was saying, when people hear that $100 mark in a game that hasn't seen, other than the big all-in hand, we haven't seen a lot of big bets yet. That kind of just raises some red flags, and you start going, ooh, that's a lot. He must be really strong.
5 to go, live straight.
But it is Chris, and Chris, like we said, he doesn't like to fold. He ain't come here to fold.
Right. What was the pot, like $100, and then he bet 125?
No, it was like 213, I would say.
Oh, okay. I mean, 125 is not that bad actually. Then for some reason I thought it was smaller, and then he was betting at 125. I thought he bet like almost pot bet. So that makes it a little different. Oh man, Ryan, you would have bet 75. That's itching to getting somebody to make a hero fold there. I feel like I would look at that like, holy crap, he wants me to call. He wants me to call him.
75 sounds like a Tammy bet.
Chris would have called 175. Yeah, I mean, Chris might have called all in. Who knows?
Uh-oh, Darren's got ace high flush draw. You better be careful.
Yeah, and there is a backdoor royal possibility. Somehow.
Straight flush.
Straight flush. You know how he gets it? F you, Trey. Wait, did Maverick? No, he folded. Okay. I get confused when the graphics are still up and somebody folded.
Yeah, it's tough to follow sometimes.
We noticed you bet this time.
You know I love you, Ryan.
But going back to that hand that Mike had ace queen, right at following Maverick's raise. I wonder if he's like the type of player that doesn't really think, he's not thinking about like what other players are doing or, you know, like how to kind of outplay them. I think he's like more thinking along the lines of like what hands shouldn't be played in this position type thing. You know, it's like
I kind of touched on that, and I'm glad you brought that back up because I think people they assign hand values to sections of the table. Like,
yeah, like it's like a pie graph. It's like a big table pie graph.
Like the percentages get bigger and bigger as people fold, which that is partially correct, but you have to pay attention and understand that players aren't playing within like that graph. You know, they play their own game. Maverick does not have a range. Like, I mean, under gun +1, I mean, he's probably getting super crazy. I mean, he might limp like a 5 deuce suited, but he's probably not raising it to 12.
Right. And that's an interesting thing to think about. I don't think many people do. I think they just, like you said, it's like a pie graph. It really is. And then they're just going along with it. Like, I am under the gun +1, so I should not play this hand, this hand, this hand, and play these hands. And that's not really a good way to think. It's kind of a guideline. It's not a set in stone thing.
Does anybody have a good hand here? Mike's got 2 pair.
I'm looking for one.
Mike's got 2 pair. I think someone's got...
There's so many hands.
A couple gut shots.
It's hard to...
It really is tough to narrow it down sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, holy moly. That's yeah, that's a family pot. That's like Ancestry.com pot right there. Oh, man.
Put that one down for joke of the night. That was a good one. So Maverick did have the nut flush draw. Mike's like, full house. 10 over jacks.
I got full house.
Start with a jack, now I'm here.
Oh, Chris, just in time, showing up for the Ancestry.com pot.
Dude, why is it so hot in here tonight?
I don't know. It's getting hot in here. It must be all the limps.
It's all the people burning money.
Oh, man. So what is that? Matt has $830. So he's up quite a bit, if this is correct. Was that 200? 400. Yeah, so he's up about $430 tonight so far. No fold 'em, hold 'em. That's basically, if you were to label 1-2, that's pretty much the label of it.
And you will always hear someone say that at the casino. It's usually a losing player, or someone's losing at that moment, or it's like, oh, I guess we got no fold 'em, hold 'em around here. It's called adjusting.
Right. Yes, Cream Pie is in the building. He is the one doing the chip counts for us. And doing an excellent job, by the way.
So that one check around.
Yeah, I was just it's kind of like trying to like wrap my money or my head around that.
I wish I could wrap some money around that.
I wish I could. Well, I was kind of reading chat while I was talking, and Chris was asking if we had a burning money emote.
I think we're working on it.
That would be a really cool one.
We should just get a picture of Chris Moneymaker on fire. That Chris is on fire.
I think that I can make this happen. Actually.
So this hand, I think people get really nervous when they're. He wasn't even first to act though. Mike was first to act. think Darren made a mistake here by checking 2 pair on the flop.
Oh, you won your candy bag.
You guys, you guys make hands, man. You gotta put some money in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's missing value. Missing
Like when,
value.
like so at the end of the night, you're like, counting how many chips you got on the table, and you're like, I had a good night. But there's like so many spots where like you could have like a much better night. Like granted, maybe no one calls, but maybe who knows? Maybe someone thinks, oh, I think you're messing around. No, I have 2 pair. Come raise me. Come raise me, bro.
Come at me, bro.
I'm ready to go.
Here's the thing: is like, there's so much dead money. Look at that.
Darren's donkey.
Look at Darren's ass right there.
I did 2 weeks ago after he got felted. He came back here and showed me all of his goods. It was terrible.
But what I was gonna say is there's so much dead money on the table that people leave behind. It's ridiculous. Like 1, 2, 2, 5. Who knows? Maybe even the stake after is there's just a ton of dead money. I mean, people are basically playing face-up poker. I mean, there's so many opportunities where you can just like throw a bet in there or raise and rep a hand that you know they're gonna put you on because that's what players do. Is he had ace king? He had this hand. Like you can basically do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. Win by TKO made a really good point on the reason why Darren should have bet that flop, just because when you are multi-way and there's ace on the board, chances are one of your opponents has an ace. You're not. If you bet there, you're not scaring him off an ace. Like someone's not like,
Yeah, that's even.
oh, I
even
guess
more-
he must have the nuts. No, they're not thinking like they're thinking I have top pair, and then they just put the blinders on, and that's all they care about.
Right. Well, because you know how hard it is for people to fold an ace when they flop one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
it's so hard.
$7 now.
Exactly. This game has a ton of ace rags in people's range because everybody's limping.
Not to be confused with ace regs.
Ace rags.
No ace
rags.
regs around here. Chris is not here tonight.
I mean, I'm pretty much a rag.
You got 3 in there? You got 2 more?
Chris, you ever plan on having a soul reading class and just teach everyone else how to be as good as you?
Same as me, Chris. That's what I was talking about. I would
Check.
be punishing everybody.
This could be fun. Darren flops top set, Matt flops top pair. And Tibor's doing the betting? Is that correct?
Oh, Tibor. It is correct.
Darren flats.
I mean, he has queen high, which is
here comes
powerful.
Here comes the raise.
Now. 25.
15 to 35. So I'm trying to figure out if Matt here is protecting himself
Darren?
in case Darren comes over the top, which I don't know how you could ever put Darren on something better than 9. But again, if I'm Darren here, I'm probably raising.
Heads up.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's,
when somebody
I
raises on the
thought that
flop,
was a king. I thought, oh my goodness.
that would have been magical.
Sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
No, it's alright. I just when people raise the flop like that, like if there's a bet and then somebody raises, I'm always tempted to just re-raise. I don't know why. I don't know if that's good or not, but I
Because
just
people,
feel like
because people are generally not re-raising with nothing.
yeah.
So
I
if
mean,
you
at
have-
this stake,
like in
exactly.
this, like in this spot, say you have a set of deuces, 3s, or 9s, and someone's raising the flop or re-raising the flop.
200.
they're
I
not
mean-
doing it with air,
Yeah.
especially when it's like multi-way. So
They don't have ace king.
I mean, they could, but I mean, why not? But I mean, calling's not bad
Whoa.
either. Calling's just fine.
45 to 2 bills
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
on a scare card.
Talk about blowing the hands off.
Yeah. Judging by Matt's eyebrows right now, he will not be calling.
Man, I'm getting really confused. These graphics they keep.
They're doing the
Sorry.
jitterbug. Jitterbug. So another reason why to raise your set of 9s on the flop, because there's a lot of turn cards and river cards that are gonna make your opponent not too happy. What if Matt was raising with a set of 2s? Just get it in. Set of
Yeah.
3s. Get it in. What if you had pocket 10s now?
And
Or pocket
pew.
jacks? You can get in on the flop. Instead, you made $80 instead of
I mean, if he's
possibly
gonna play it that way.
250.
If not, I mean, he could also play it the way he kind of was playing it and just let it
Just find a button.
ride out. Call, and then booyah, baby.
Show him the booyah.
Booyah.
That's definitely a booyah for sure. That's the booyah face.
If you and your friends would like to play at the Poker on Air Penthouse Studio and have your game broadcast to the world, just give us a call. Your friends or league can rent our studio and play on our brand new custom-built RFID poker table, while we capture all the fun and action using 7 high-definition cameras and our live stream studio switcher. Play live while our commentators call all the action and bring your game to life. So if it's your league's final game of the season, or you and some friends just want to have fun, the Poker on Air studio is available to you. We can even take our show on the road and broadcast live from your event or casino. The graphics and sponsors on this custom traveling table can be changed to meet the needs of your event. Even better, if you would like a custom RFID table built for you or your venue, or would like to become a Poker on Air Broadcast City franchise, we can help you with that request as well. For more information, just give us a call at the number on your screen or email us at producer@pokeronair.com. Poker on Air, let's deal you in.